Hello students. So in this video we are going to discuss the 10 questions of test 1 which is released by the NTA. So this is the first question they have made it. Which of the following statement is true regarding the role of acetylcholine? So acetylcholine you know very well, it's a neurotransmitter. Now see, neurotransmitter, they are asking the question what is a true? Means which is the right statement regarding the role of acetylcholine. So acetylcholine work is to increase the permeability of the cell membrane and selective permeability. This is important. Selective permeability it is increasing, means it is allowing the sodium to go inside. See here diagram carefully. The sodium will start going inside, means action potential will be generated. So they have increased the permeability and that also selective permeability. So answer will go this. Now, if you analyze the other options, see, they are telling they increase the potassium concentration. No, it is already high inside. So this is not, they are not going to increase this. This is not there. To reduce the activity of this pump, no, they are not going to do any role with the pump. Right now, there is no role with the pump. To increase the sodium concentration outside axon, no, they are going to increase the sodium concentration inside. That is why the sodium pump is open, so that the sodium can go inside. So that is why these three statements are wrong and your answer is will be the first option. Now see the second question. Question is ki bicollateral vascular bundles. Now bicollateral vascular bundle, first of all try to understand, if suppose this is your phloem is present only on one side, this is phloem and this is xylem, then we say conjoint because both are joint, and phloem only one side, we say collateral. Okay, so conjoint collateral means phloem is present only on one side. So collateral means phloem present only one side. Now see the diagram. This side is phloem present, even this side is also phloem present, and xylem is in between. Means phloem is present on both the side. So these type of vascular bundle, again they are joint. So we will say they are conjoint, but phloem is present on two sides. We will say bicollateral vascular bundle. So bicollateral vascular bundle means phloem is present on both the sides. Check the diagram, and by seeing this you can find phloem surrounds on both sides by xylem. No, it is not. Phloem is not surrounded by xylem. It is a xylem which is surrounded by the phloem. So answer will go here. You can't take here because they are telling phloem is surrounded by the xylem. Wrong. There is no splitting of the vascular bundle. Is it clear? So this is the right answer for this second question. Now see the third question. They have given certain features for the reproduction. Okay, they are giving certain features. See, gametic fusion will take place, transfer of gamete will take place, reduction division will occur, progeny has a resemblance to parents. And they're asking we have to select the option which are true for both. Means both asexual as well as sexual is showing. Now see, gametic fusion you can't take because gametic fusion will be occurring during sexual event only, not during asexual. So this option is wrong. Transfer of gamete will occur, yes, transfer of gametes will occur in the both cases, asexual as well as sexual, it can occur. Reduction division takes place. It is not necessary that reduction division has to be done for the asexual because asexual can occur generally by the vegetative part of the body only. So vegetative part of body are used in asexual, so we can't say reduction division has to occur. Okay, so this statement is also you can't take common for both. But progeny has a resemblance to parents. Yes, you can take this because you know in case of asexual, so it is 100% resemblance, but in case of sexual also, it will be resembling to the parents. You can't say it is totally changes. Resemblance will be there. Variations are there, but you can't rule out the resemblance also. So answer both 2 and 4 are there. So answer will go third option. Now see the fourth question, they are asking root does not help in the absorption of water in which plants? So obviously roots are absent in the hydrophytes. You can see hydrophytes has poorly developed roots. In this case, if you see the options given us, this is the one only which is hydrophytes. This is your mesophyte. Okay. Even wheat is also mesophyte. Sunflower is also mesophyte, where the water is required, and for water the root system will be well developed. But pistia is already present in the water, so it will not have the well developed root systems. Now see the next question. Artificial induction of root means root is induced artificially, means they are telling about the adventitious root formation. Adventitious root is formed on stem before it is separated from the parent plant for propagation. So this is seen in the layering. Okay, now if you see, this is your one plant and this is you're finding one soft basal branch is present here. On the node you're finding one soft basal branch. So what you will do, you will try to bend this branch into the soil. See, this branch is bent into the soil. Okay, so this condition, I'll just remove it here. See, earlier this branch was there, now I'm removing it. And we are bending this branch into the soil and we are waiting for the induction of the root. The first rooting is done after the root is initiated and this flowering, let us assume the leaf formation, then only we will cut this from the parent body. So layering is the one which is based on the rooting cutting method. First rooting will be done, later on you will separate them from the parent plant. Okay, and in case of the cutting, try to understand this also. In the cutting, first cutting will be done, then rooting will be done. So here the scene is reversed. Plant tissue culture, you know very well, it is performed in the lab. And grafting, where the two plants are used, one is a stalk and one is working as a scion. Now see the next question. Question is asked, how many integuments are present in the ovule of angiosperms and gymnosperms? So see first of all the ovule of angiosperms. It is bitegmic condition. Okay. So ovule of the angiosperms are bitegmic. They are having two integument. This is outer integument and this one is your inner integument. This one is your inner integument. So in angiosperms, two integuments are present, but in gymnosperms, you see gymnosperm ovule is unitegmic only. This is of gymnosperms and ovule will be always orthotropous ovule. Where micropyle, this is micropyle, chaliza and tunicle are in one line. And this is of angiosperms, and in angiosperms, it will be bitegmic condition and majorities of the ovules will be anatropous. So first they have asked the angiosperms, then gymnosperms. So first two integument, then one integument. So your answer will go C option. Now see the seventh question. Cartilage is formed by. The cartilage is made by cartilage cells. So chondrocytes are your cartilage cells. Okay. Now osteo. What is osteo related to? Bones. And blast means bone forming cell. So these are bone forming cells. Fibroblast means they are making the fibers. So they are fiber forming cells. See, always try to learn whenever suffix blast is used, na, it means forming cell. Just like we say osteoblast, so it means bone forming cell. We can say chondroblast, chondroblast means cartilage forming cell. But when we say cyte, suffix cyte is used, it means that is only cell. Okay, and when we say clast, chondroclast, osteoclast, it means they are eating cells. So these are the few suffix you have to remember when they ask the questions. What does this suffix means? Okay, if they are adding blast means forming cell, if they are adding cyte means it is cell only, and class means they are eating cells. So from this it is clear your answer will go second option. Now see the next question, eighth question. They have given the question leg hemoglobin. So first of all, you know leg hemoglobin is pink in color, okay, and it is found in the root nodule of the legume plant. We have studied in the mineral nutrition chapter. This is from the mineral nutrition chapter where biological nitrogen fixation was explained. Okay, so if you remember the infection thread, this is the root here which is gone for curling. Okay, and this is your cortex area. And this is your then layer of the endodermis, having the deposition of suberin. And this is the layer of pericycle. So infection thread will carry the dividing bacteria. This is your infection thread, which will carry the dividing bacteria. Okay. So inside this, dividing bacteria are present, and they are reaching to the inner cortical cells, and they will stimulate the cortical cells and pericycle to form the root nodules. So as a result, root nodule formation is done. I'm explaining it this side. The nodule is formed. When you see the nodule diagram, let us assume I'm taking only one cell. We are viewing only one cell. This cell, if we view it, then we find that inside this cell, see the diagram carefully, inside this cell, you will find bacterioids are present. These are bacterioids. Okay. And these bacteria can do nitrogen fixation in anaerobic condition. Reason is enzyme nitrogenase. This nitrogenase is an enzyme which wants anaerobic condition. So anaerobic condition is provided by leg hemoglobin. Here leg word means legume. Okay. So leg word means legume. And hemoglobin is a pigment which is provided by both bacteria and virus. So it is present here. This is the pink color pigment present, that is leg hemoglobin is present here. So it is present between the bacterioid, because these structures now they are not dividing, so we call them as bacterioid. So it is present between the bacterioids and surrounding. So your answer will go D option. It is not present in the wall of bacteria. It is not present in the wall of the host cell. From the diagram, it is clear. In the cytoplasm of host cell, okay, fine, it is present in the cytoplasm of host cell, but where? It is best option will be between bacterioids and surrounding. Now, next question is fall in GFR. What does fall in GFR will activate? It will activate juxtaglomerular cells to release renin. First of all, try to understand what is where is the location of the juxtaglomerular cells. See, this is Bowman's capsule. And this is your afferent arteriole. Okay, this is your afferent arteriole with more diameter, and this is your efferent arteriole with less diameter. And in between that, this is a network present, and this network is known as glomerulus. Okay, and here, after PCT and DCT, all they will be there. So I'm drawing it very fast. I hope you can understand it. And this is a DCT. So this DCT will be called here. It will be called this way. Okay. It will be called this way. So this part of DCT, this area, see the board carefully, this area of DCT which is in contact with the afferent arteriole, here you will find on the wall of the afferent arteriole, you will find few cells are present. These cells are known as juxtaglomerular cells. You can see the diagram once again, I'll draw it separately for you. See, this is your afferent arteriole. This is your efferent arteriole. Okay. And this is your collecting duct, DCT. This is the wall of the DCT, let us assume. So on the wall of the afferent arteriole, here you will find few special types of cells. These are known as juxtaglomerular cells. So these juxtaglomerular cells, when they observe there is fall in the GFR through the DCT, then what will happen? These cells will release renin. Okay, they will release renin. Now you have to remember one word is there, renin, and this is another is also there, renin. This is used in the digestion. Don't get confused with the spellings. Please, you have to remember when the single N is coming, this is for excretion. And when double N is coming, that is for digestion, which we use it for the digestion of the milk protein that is known as casein. Okay, we use it for the digestion of milk protein casein. And here your answer will go C option. Juxtaglomerular cells will release renin. Now see the next question. Ephemerals are xerophytes. So they're asking, first of all, you should know what does ephemerals mean. Ephemerals means short-lived. Okay, now they're giving us this option, drought resistant. So first of all, drought resistant are also known as succulents. Succulent means they will store water. So they are not ephemeral. Then is drought enduring. Drought enduring are those plants which can tolerate long period of drought. It means they are perennial. If they are perennial, obviously they are not ephemeral, but they are non-succulent. Okay. But drought escaping are the one which are ephemeral. They will not be in the drought condition. So answer will go C option. None of this is not there. So I hope this explanation will help you to improve and prepare for your NEET exam. Best of luck for your exam. Thanks for watching it. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel.